let's get into position for the banded lateral walks. You're gonna need a mini band is best. And there's two places you can put it. The first one is what you've probably seen any other time you've seen these instructions, is to have it around your ankles. So that's one way. Another way that I learned from a physical therapist that I actually do like better is having it under the arch of both of your feet. And this can be whether you wear shoes or not. Having it under the arch of your feet, it actually feels really good, and it also works the ankle muscles. Now, either way, here's something that I learned that I didn't know. The idea is we don't want to be taking really big steps. It's a smaller movement. And to do that, what ends up happening is that the mini band, it often is actually still just a little too big to produce the right tension from the beginning of the movement. You want to have tension on the band when your feet are only about four inches apart or so. So to achieve that, whether it's on your ankle or under your foot, if you don't already feel tension here, which I don't really, there's no real tension there yet, you can wrap the band around your foot or your ankle once. Do you see that? So I'm kind of wrapping it around that once, and then putting the other side, around my ankle or on my shoe. So now it's shorter, right? So now I'm already feeling tension right here, and that way when I take my step out, this muscle's already needing to contract, okay? So that's the best way to kind of get the right amount of resistance. When I had learned this sort of movement before, I never knew that, and so I had a lot more space at the start, and then I was taking these gigantic steps out, and so that's not our goal with this movement. All right, so I'm going to show you with it under my feet for this one. It feels really good. I really like it. The rest of your positioning, you want to have a slight bend in your knee. So you will have a little bit of a flex here, a little slight bend at your hip as well because of the bend in the knee. But we want to keep our torso upright. So that was another thing that I learned wrong when I first learned this move, is I was doing the movement with my torso bent over. When we do it in that position, it's not as an effective position for getting your glute medius. It will get other muscles more involved. So even though we have that slight bend, we want to keep the torso upright, stacked over the hips, head, shoulder, hips, straight line for the whole movement. And if you ever try it out and do both, you'll notice a very big difference in muscle activation if you do it bent over versus torso upright. Okay? So, feet, tension on the band about 4 feet apart, 4 feet, that would be impossible. 4 inches apart, slight bend in the knee. You want to bring the shoulder blades down and back, nice broad chest, have that nice upright torso. You can put your hands on your hips to monitor the movement. Hi, I'm Rizal. If you're a woman in your over 40s and almost 40s like myself, and you'd like to do some full-length workouts using these sorts of movements, I'd love to have you come over to my website, inspirefulwomen.com. I do all of the workouts in beautiful outdoor nature spots like this. We use chill music, and we don't do tons of jumping around and intense stuff. So if that sounds like your jam, the sort of thing that you'd like, come on over to my website at inspirefulwomen.com. Now, the actual movement that we're gonna do, we're gonna be stepping sideways, right? And we're just gonna keep going until we run out of space, until you run into a wall or until I fall off the platform. But it's a small stepping movement, okay? So you're going to step outwards and then lift the other leg and bring the other foot back close to your other foot again, okay? So stepping out and in. Now your toes, they want to either be pointing straight forward or even toed in a bit. I want you to see, now I know this looks a little weird. I had to ask the physical therapist, like, are you sure? Like, is that okay? So actually toeing in a little bit will help you to work the muscle, the glute medius, a little better because it's just positioning this muscle, think about this muscle back here, against the pole of the band more directly. And so that will help this muscle to actually contract as we step out, okay? The other thing is we have the tendency to start toeing out during a movement without realizing it. And that's because we have stronger muscles like our quads and our hip flexors. These muscles are stronger than our smaller glute muscles. So we have like a subconscious tendency. We might start straight, but then as we keep going, we get fatigued, we might start toeing out just without realizing it because these larger, stronger muscles are kind of trying to help out. but we're trying to just keep it so that they're not doing the work and these smaller glute muscles are doing the work, right? So let me hop back over here. So just keep that in mind. Toes forward and even pointed in a little bit is actually really good, okay? So from there, as we step out, like I said, your hands can be here or in front of you, whatever feels good to you. The goal is to keep our body gliding sideways. So we're trying to glide. We're not doing like a, you know, down, up, see my head, down, up, down, up. So that's another thing that I used to do wrong. So instead, you want to think about your head staying at the same level. That's kind of your goal, so that you're just gliding. Your legs are staying the same amount of bend the whole time. Does that make sense? Like that? Okay. And then when you get to the end, you run into the wall, whatever, and you go back the other way. So like this. And remember, where you want to be feeling it is back in here. This is where you should be feeling it. If you feel it more up here to the front, think about checking your toes. Check your toes, maybe toe in a little bit, and also check your torso. You might have started bending over without realizing it, okay? Old habits die hard, right? So, all right, let me start over here, and I'll go this way, and then I'll go back the other way. Slight bend in the knee. You want to have that tension with your toes fairly close together. Step out. And as you step out, think about the other leg. Make sure that knee's not getting pulled and caved in, okay? You want to keep that knee aligned over the toe. So hip, knee, toe, all in alignment, right? So there, step in. And even though we're gliding, we don't want to drag this foot. That was another mistake I made. I was trying to like stay level, not go up and down. So then I ended up kind of like dragging my foot. So we don't want to drag either. We do want to actually step, but just keeping that bend in the leg the same. So back the other way. And again, you'll notice as you watch me, this is not about taking really wide steps. It's a smaller movement. Now from the side, have to hop. I'm glad I don't have this around my feet all the time. Good thing our feet are free to walk. All right, so from the side, take a look at my torso. That I'm gonna, I have that bend in my knee, and I'm going to try to keep my torso upright and not bent over, right? And with a little bit of toeing in even. I'm feeling it right here. Whew. So it's a small movement, but you really feel it in here, and it's a great way to actually wake those muscles up for doing lunges and squats and different things like that, or just for, you know, training those muscles overall. Thanks for being with me today, ladies. Once again, I'm Razel. If you're enjoying my style of teaching and you would like to get even more details, on my website at inspirefulwomen.com, I also go into, with each of these movements, mistakes to avoid, you know, common things, common form issues, as well as variations, ways to make the movement harder, ways to make it easier. If all of that sounds good to you and you'd also like to see full-length workouts using these movements, come on over to my website at inspirefulwomen.com.